this next season so special, but first, thanks for being here. I'm very honored to be your valedictorian. Okay? So let's get into it, right? Well, I'm gonna bring out some cast and creatives here. Please welcome season 2 guest star, Haley Joel Osment. Season 2 guest star, Gata. Yes. Season 2 guest star, Melanie Lynskey. Emmy Award winner for her guest role in season 1, Judith Light. Season 2 guest star, Kumail Nanjiani. Season 1 guest star and season 2 director, Clea DuVall. Executive producer, writer, director, and star, Natasha Lyonne. Rian Johnson. Okay, I'm walking across the stage, which means I'm graduating. And I get to go from podium to little chair. I'm pretty excited. Well, welcome, guys. Welcome to the stage with me, everyone.
Aidy and the honor. Thank you for doing this.
First off, congrats on season 2 of Poker Face, everybody. You know, I feel like sometimes these are hard because you want to talk to everybody, you want to get into everything. And I thought just to start it off, so everybody feels comfortable, we're going to go rapid fire down the line. Little icebreaker. What's your favorite holiday, Ryan?
Thanksgiving.
Halloween. Also Thanksgiving. Oh, interesting.
Easter, because I love Jesus. Thank you.
John?
Christmas, because I love Jesus even more.
Judith? I'll take Thanksgiving. Melanie?
Christmas, but not for Jesus. Sorry,
Gata?
Jesus. Jesus is great.
He's really great.
He's really great. Sorry.
Welcome to the new showbiz, where all we do is talk about how great Jesus is.
Just try to not get deported over the next 4 years.
Gata, what's your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday would be Thanksgiving.
Oh,
Family time.
wow. And Haley?
All 4 days of Thanksgiving.
Didn't they change the name of Thanksgiving? Not to be that guy, but just to mention.
Oh, did they?
Freedomsgiving.
Well, a lot of people would say I'm doing an amazing job. But you know, we want to keep it loose. We want to know what holidays our favorite celebrities love. Okay, look, season 1 of the show was such a sensation. You know, you were celebrated by fans and critics. Ryan, I want to ask you, how did you and the team approach crafting the second season? Were there elements that you wanted to bring back from season 1? Were there things you wanted to leave behind?
Well, first of all, Aidy, thank you. Thank you for doing it. And again, thank you guys for being here.
Yes.
No, we had so much fun making that first season. I feel like in the second season, the big thing I wanted to do was just kind of do what we did in season 1 and just do more of it. And I think because of the nature of the show, because the show is really born out of kind of a love of Columbo and Rockford Files and, you know, those shows that we grew up loving. The idea was not to build some bigger mythology or let's see where Charlie goes with her bigger arc. The idea was just, let's make some really kick-ass, wonderful episodes. And let's try something very different with each episode. So every time the credits come up at the beginning, the audience, you as a viewer, you don't know what you're going to get. And that to me is really fun.
Oh, I mean, you've already done it in episode 1, and now this is not on the paper they gave me, but I want to know.
Don't do it. Don't go off book. Don't do it.
You will see me reading tightly from my script. But what was it like directing that first episode? There was a lot to wrangle there, and it was unbelievable. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was, I mean, it's all Natasha and it's Cynthia.
Wow.
She was, because we shot that we had a 10-day schedule to shoot that, which is a very fast schedule for the amount of script it was. And we had, it's not like we were using high, crazy camera technology. It was literally, we would leave the camera there. Cynthia would do half of her scene. She would go and change, come back and do the other. And she somehow kept it all in her head and was the loveliest person in the world while she was doing it.
But Ryan is being humble. I've never seen Ryan in quite so his element. I would argue that this episode, The Game is Afoot, is quite possibly the most Rian Johnson thing to ever. Rian Johnson. Surrounded by like 87 screens within screens to figure out how the whole game and magic trick would work. So it was a delight to behold.
It was amazing. Congratulations. Natasha, you actually jumped into Ryan's question, which isn't allowed.
Not my name.
I do have one for you as well. You wear a lot of hats on this show.
Yes.
You're, of course, the beautiful star, as
Thank you
well
so
as
much.
writer, producer.
Yes.
How is it for you to kind of manage all those places and direct yourself? Are there things that have surprised you about the process?
The thing about trucker caps is it's not quite like wearing the many hats you might see in the olden times of Chris Loken, who's still quite young, but a shaman dance man, you know. So I love it. I love to be as holistically sort of sink into the fabric of the art form and really get inside of there. So I find it quite joyful, obviously. You know, I sort of try to make sure that we all stay together as people I love very much, and so it just brings me a lot of joy to be all the way in, and I love it. I love directing, and I love the whole thing.
Can I jump in and unhumble her a little bit?
Yes, I love this. I want us to keep unhumbling.
I'm going to say, I mean, specifically this type of show, and this is both what's wonderful about it, because there's no recurring cast except for Natasha in episode to episode. And so that means you get to have wonderful people coming in every episode. That also means to sustain that over the course of what it takes to shoot a TV season and to be out there every single week working with a different cast. It's an incredible effort, and the fact that she makes it look so effortless on the screen and creates a character that is that you just want to kind of, I don't know, you want to travel across the United States with her. It's a massive speaking to her, blah, blah, blah.
Thank you. We do also have, like, between us, we got, like, the most incredible crew that we've both been with in different ways for, you know, just almost a decade now, at least, right? So it does make it's funny about being the only cast that you end up actually becoming crew inherently, because those are the people you're seeing every day. It's like, you know, the gaffer Rob, you know, or Dale, or operator, you know, who passed, but it's funny that actually those become your rock steadies and you're more crew than cast in a show like this inherently, so it feels organic to do it, I guess.
And you have all these loose, crazy randos everything's so hard. Now, I want to talk for a second about season 1, because it was so, I think it really like lit a fire. It was so well received. And how did that feel? I feel like you guys really made something different, and to put it out there in the world is a bit scary, and it was so beautifully received. How did you feel? Like, was it, we did it? Uh-oh, I should go back to my script.
Yeah, it felt, I mean, it was very, we knew that we loved what we were making, but you never know. And so to put it out there and to see people react to it, and I'm looking over at Judith Light, who was in season 1.
Guess who my next question is for, Judith. Now, just in case it wasn't clear, Judith won an Emmy for her performance in season 1. You guest starred as a retirement home resident with an unlikely cult cult background and a best friendship that turns deadly. Yeah. Can you tell us what made you decide to take on the role and to work with Rian and Natasha? I don't know why you would want to do that. And if you had any fun memories of shooting and working with them.
Well, I have to say, you know, when you get a script like that, and, you know, it was Wyatt Kane and Charlie Peppers, and they wrote these phenomenal characters, and then I knew that I was going to get to work with Apatha Murkison, who is an extraordinary actor. Many of you probably know her from Law & Order and from Chicago Fed. And I had just done a film with Reed Birney, who was a good friend, and Reed, I got to kill him, which was really great. But working, you know, the way something really goes is the way it comes from the top. And when you have people like Rian and Natasha, and they are really, they're your context, they're your bottom line. And you get to work in a system where you are getting to acknowledge a woman's intuition, which is what you do and what you play. It's not just that she knows that somebody's lying, but it's her intuition. And you get to see that, and you get to see how that works and how that operates and how that fits into the whole dynamic of the show. All of a sudden, then I get to beat her up, and it's really fun. So it's not just that it's this, you know, freewheeling, easy, joyful thing, although it is, but it's got this real substance underneath, and I think that was really a lot of what called me to this character and the show.
And a great director, Lucky McGee, who really like dialed in that episode. I mean, that was like surprising things happened. I remember when our scene ran a little thing right before, you know, the stumble bum fight. Like that was unexpected, I think, for all of us, just because we were so locked in. It was very special.
Yeah, really, really special. And Lucky McGee is an incredible director. So yeah. He's coming back this season, right?
Yeah. Josie Force?
So Lucky McGee directed an episode with Kumail, actually, and an alligator. Yeah.
That a crocodile?
That's an alligator.
Case closed.
No, I mean, I feel like the casting is sort of this whole other piece of the show, and I mean, there's a lot of beautiful, deep relationships here, especially Natasha. You worked with Clea and Melanie on But I'm a Cheerleader.
And of course, Clea's directorial debut, The Intervention, which won Sundance, and Melanie won Best Actress. So
Well, I guess this is what I'm asking is when you guys go to cast these episodes, is it always just to look through your phone? or can any of these people get involved? How do you start that process, especially because each episode is so different?
It's a wild combination of both. It is kind of, and it's, but that's what's so fun about it is it does inevitably end up being a mixture of friends that we worked with before, but also people we've always respected but haven't gotten the chance to work with, and it also, I'll say, just for all these guys to jump into something where you're really carrying the entire episode as a guest star, and you're being thrown into this crazy world, and it's just 2 weeks of shooting. I mean, it's a high degree of difficulty to come in and land that, and yet every single one of our guest stars and every single one of these beautiful people showed up ready to play, and it was really, really fun.
But also, some of them, like Clea, that was you. You were just like, that's your sister, right?
Yeah.
And Janixa was directing?
Yeah.
And then like Melanie, we were just like on your tail right before you even started writing.
Yeah.
Because that's the Lynsk.
And then it would just, I feel like you would also just run into people like out the previous night and like text me and like, I'm like, oh, great.
But I would say other than Gata and Haley Joel, like, I've worked with all you guys. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I just got a text from you on a Friday. You were like, hey, do you want to be in Poker Face on Thursday? And I was like, how long can I wait so that it doesn't seem too desperate? Didn't wait long.
This is the magic of showbiz.
It was great. I was very, very excited. I mean, you know, I told them I'd love the show, so I was very excited about that.
Clea, I want to talk for a second because in season 1 you were a guest star, like we mentioned, but in season 2 you're returning as a director. Yeah, come on. I'm curious, what was it like to both act and direct Natasha? And I know you guys have worked together before many times, but how was it to come to the show in this different role?
It was really exciting, you know. It was very, very scary because I loved the show so much, and you know, obviously, like love and respect Natasha and Rian so much that I just didn't want to like screw up such a great show. It was my first thought, but then I had to, you know, put that away and just like get to work. And you know, they were so supportive, and because I had met the crew the previous year, it was such a warm environment to walk into, so less of that like first day of school vibes. Yeah. And it was really fun, and I got to do things like as a director that I had never done before, and I just really loved it.
Sorry, there's more, just too much humility.
She killed me. That's unhumble 5.
Like, Clea is a fucking rock star. I mean, it's also, I think, for like, you know, any of us autodidacts who kind of came by it, honestly, like to see the precision and like, you know, meticulousness and organization of like, and it was just so much fun to get to watch. You know, Clea does direct Method Man. So that was a personal, I didn't even know it was a bucket list item.
He was incredible. He was incredible, and I did text him when we were done, and he never texted me back.
Jason did.
I'm sure Jason takes you back in a minute.
Jason always texts me back.
Oh,
Kumail, will you tell us a bit about your episode? Because it sounds to me like you're playing a very big, unbelievable, amazing character. I'm seeing that his name is Gata Joe.
Yeah.
What was your initial impression from reading the script? How did it feel? It sounds like the casting went very quickly. So how did you jump into it?
Yes, I got a text from Natasha, and I said, yeah, sure. The next text was the script. I clicked on it, and it was this cop in the Florida Panhandle with tattoos and frosted hair, and his name was Gator Joe. His friend is an alligator. I texted Natasha back. I was like, "Did you send this one to me by mistake?" That's not the kind, you know, people don't see me and go, "Hey, that looks like a Florida cop." And so I immediately called, I have a dialect coach, Liz Himmelstein, who's amazing, and I called her and I was like, "Hey, I have 6 days. I want to try and learn a Florida Panhandle accent. Can we try and see if we can do it? And if we can't, I'll just speak like a Pakistani guy who's been in America for 20 years. And as soon as we started working on it, I was like, this is just too fun and too exciting to not fully commit to it. And so I and then they were kind enough to pay for her to be on set and make sure it all sounds good. And so I really, really, really am so grateful. I love playing Gator Joe. I love this guy. And I had to like shave my arms and legs to get the tattoos on. And then I just walked around with all these tattoos. And people were scared of me. And it was awesome. I mean, you know, me with an American flag tattoo is like a weird message, but I really, and I want to Lucky McKee, who they've been talking about. He's been one of my favorite directors for a long time. I'm a big fan of horror movies. He's made a lot of great horror movies. Working with him was absolutely wonderful. We became very close friends, and yeah, Legacy did all the animatronics for the gator. So it's set over a few years. So it starts with a baby alligator, grows up to a full-sized alligator over the course of the episode. So I got to work with really the best in the biz, like these folks who are absolutely amazing, and then also these giant alligator animatronic thingies, and I have dreams about them every night.
The little tidbits of alligators.
It's kind of, and also a really fun little bit of casting. I don't know if were you on set with John Sayles. We got the great director. We got to come out and play a police chief.
Wow.
With alligator, yeah. So it works.
Yeah, he directed a movie called Alligator that I watched. I was there for 2 weeks shooting, and I would text Ryan and Lucky, and I just watched like aquatic horror movies for 2 weeks.
Wow, I'm fascinated by the animatronics because in my mind I'm imagining sort of It's a Small World or something, but that sounds really scary.
I have this is a weird story that I've told you.
Not enough.
Okay, so I was like, okay, so I want to have a real connection with this alligator, you know? And they're like robots, and I think alligators are terrifying and hideous. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how to have a connection with this thing, because I was like, that's going to be the heart of this character, is that he really loves his gator. He's a fucking douchebag, but he really loves this thing. You know? And I couldn't figure it out. And then one night I had a dream. I was laying in bed with my wife, and we have a cat that we love. But we had like a kid in this dream. We don't have a kid that we love. Takes a while, that's what the books say. That's a joke. We don't have a kid. And so I had this dream that we had this kid, and the kid was like, looked like this hideous mixture of my cat and an alligator. And I remember looking at it in the dream and feeling such like love for it. I swear, and then the next day I went and worked with these alligators, and I would like love working with these alligators.
Wow, that is beautiful. Some say on a spooky night, David Lynch's spirit lives in our ancestors.
Yeah, I remember there's an alligator and a baby Bjorn in one scene, and I'm just looking at it, and they're so good, like they move it, its eyes are blinking, and I like teared up looking at it.
Well, hopefully tonight each of you will be visited by the gator cats in your dreams. John, I want to talk to you because you play a bit of like a villainous swindler. Is that correct? Would you? And I think that's not how many people think of you. So you went a little, you know. How was that? Tell us about your experience and your character.
No, I guess people don't think of me as a villainous swindler.
You're so good at it.
But it was a fantastic experience. I got the script, and it was like Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Thanksgiving?
Yeah, and what was I going to say? But it was a real pleasure working with Melanie and Natasha. But yes, it was against my character to lie.
Mimi Cave, who's an extraordinary...
Oh, did she direct an episode?
Yeah.
Oh, I love her.
I mean, that episode is a bonanza. It's like a real, David Mamet, Megan Amram.
Megan Amram wrote it. It's a con man episode that kind of riffs on House of Games, which is one of my favorite movies. And it's John and it's Melanie and it's and Gata, and it's a really fun episode.
And AI Ricky J. Which was a hot topic.
AI Ricky J.
That's a joke.
No, take it to the presses.
What is this?
What?
It was on.
This is a gesture of fear. And if you see me doing this, know I'm scared.
I know.
Okay. Melanie, you're in the same episode with John, and your characters have sort of a ill-fated encounter, I'll say. Knowing that there's such a tight production schedule, I'm curious about your experience, and if you have to just jump in and work with John like that, how do you make the chemistry? How did you find your character?
Well, I mean, for me, it helped to be working with the world's most charming man.
No, you mean a villainous swindler.
Famously villainous swindler here. I thought everybody knew that about him, but he was so wonderful. It was a lot of dialogue.
Yes.
Like, I think we had just 2 days of talking, which it's
Too many
more
talking.
fun than it sounds. Really fun. But it was so much dialogue. But you were super prepared.
You were. It was unbelievable to watch you. It was such a treat to watch you unpack it, dissect it, and then I just saw you. And this goes for Natasha as well. Going, break it down into these little blocks, and then going, am I being authentic? Am I being authentic? Am I being authentic? And just meticulously go down, attack each moment. I just, it was such a pleasure. It was one of the great thrills of my life.
Melanie described it as a lot of talking.
It's an extraordinary episode, like what you came up with, and the way it was executed, and the way you guys showed up for it was like it was a real this was grown up acting. I would say maybe they're just a series of real kind of twists and turns and puzzle box switches, and within the like the subtext is text, and I mean you guys crushed. It's a really great episode.
Well, Mimi is so wonderful, and she was really, really on top of it. Like she was very focused and so smart. I liked her so much. And then just because all my stuff is with John, so I was like, oh God, please let them cast someone great, because I didn't know who it was until like the day before. And I didn't want to be rude and like ask anyway, but like these are these, and then I was like, oh thank God, oh thank God.
It is extraordinary how little time like when Judith, you saw about damn, how did you practice? You know what I mean? Because the turnover of just they're 10-day episodes, and the scripts are kind of like just getting finished, and the boards are just getting finished. So even if you think that it's going to all be all systems go and excitement, something comes up, a nanny or something, and it just kind of falls to pieces. It's like so it's a real nail biter, or even like the deal is being made with the flight or something, and you just don't know, even if John has it 2 weeks in advance. You know what I mean? So it's a really wild thing that you see like big league players kind of come in and be able to just sort of like wrangle it and make it their own. Usually the first day is like, is this the pocket? You know what I mean? Like, am I playing in the key of poker face? And kind of everyone's looking around, and then all of a sudden it's like the joy of watching the lock-in is extraordinary.
Well, the same is true for you. I mean, to watch you do that is really incredible. I mean, you do that consistently and all the time. Did I embarrass you?
I don't know. I mean, it's an odd one that you are like kind of holding it down and holding that space for everybody who's kind of like it's their first day of school, so you're like remembering. I mean, listen, we're doing this for 300 years, and being a vampire is obviously helpful because there's like a seasoned sense of like, it's because that part in a movie or something, or at least in the when you would like drop into the pocket and everybody would get lazy. It's kind of like you're always a little bit, but it's really important to remember that the character that we got to make sort of has the sun at her back and is genuinely curious, makes it really helpful as opposed to sort of a nihilist, that she's such a kind of, Lebowski dude who's genuinely curious, lost interest in herself, gained interest in her fellows kind of thing. Makes it a little bit more organic to kind of, watch people feel out. That's part of the journey of the joy of Charlie's discovery. And who are you, man? Leo. But
30 years later.
Big fan.
Well, I love that about this show, that you're often bringing together veterans, but also, Gata, you sort of debuted to fans in Dave as this new and then you got to step in the world of Poker Face. How was it for you to step into that world?
Honestly, it's amazing, when you get to work with vampires who've been doing this for 300 years. I've only been acting for 4 years, so I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Peacock. And I'm excited to let people see what I brought to the show.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about your character.
Well, I'm a part of John's crew, the sleazy crew. I'm like a con man. I can't say too much. I play a smart guy. I can't wait for y'all to see it.
Cool. Oh man.
Gata crushes.
Is
Ooh. Now, Haley, your character is a very fun one as well. An influencer sponsoring his wedding with an energy drink.
It was a tough conversation with my fiance, but I got my way. And that energy drink is called Ballzilla. There's a big banner. That was one where I laughed when I read it in the script. You walk onto the set and see a Ballzilla banner behind the wedding stage. It was that gave me a good laugh too.
I which was another knockout, like Ty West. I mean, that was a shot.
Yeah,
That was a text in the middle of the night, like, yo, what are you doing? You making movies? Yeah, come down here. And it was amazing that he showed up, and he's so, and Justin Theroux was season. I mean, and our little sitting by the dock of the bay was, I thought, quite
Oh, that was so wonderful. And that was one where we had to move fast because Natasha and I have the scene as the sun is going down over this freezing body of water in December. And the light looks beautiful, but we only got to do it a couple times because we're getting that really specific light. And it's that mix of like, you know, concentrating on your job, but also going like, this is a really cool moment. I'm gonna remember this forever.
I will say that there was that unspoken, you know, kinship of like, you know, I think that for those of us that did this as kids, it's there's this weird sort of, you're alert as like a, you know, businessman when you're, you know, 5 years old, for 4 or whatever. And so I think it's like we saw each other, we saw the light, we kind of read the room, and we're like, boom, you gotta go all in. Like, and it's a kind of a very rare kind of ESP that happens. You know, we're nuts.
Kick out nights.
That's beautiful. Kit Kats. Yeah, Kit Kat nights.
Well, we only have a few minutes left, so I want to pivot to some questions that were submitted by Paley members for Rian and Natasha. I'm curious, which shows or films do you feel were your greatest influences in developing Poker Face?
Long Goodbye.
Long Goodbye.
Bad City.
Bad City. I mean,
California Split.
California Split. Yeah, and then obviously I feel like I keep mentioning the Columbo, obviously.
Yeah.
And
Weirdly though, Wings of Desire, just because like it's such a Peter Falk head from the Cassavetes, I just felt like what he embodied in terms of like this kind of like traveling fucking, you know, I'm sorry. But like a rambling rose kind of.
Rambling Man.
Yeah, it was something really.
Yeah. And Quantum Leap for TV shows too, because when Sam wakes up in a different body, you're in and Columbo does this and other shows do this, but Quantum Leap, the fact that you get to explore this little microcosm of a world every week, to me, that's another thing I really love about getting to make the show.
I love it too. I'm curious, now this is another one submitted by a Paley member here. Are there any additional, you have an amazing list of guest stars this season. Obviously everybody here, but even more that it would take me 4 hours to list. They want to know, are there any additional stars on your wish list for the future? So people to level up from our friends here.
That's what it said on the card?
I guess Aidy Bryant would be on number one.
And finally, we've gotten to where I wanted to start. I'm hurting bad for cash. I'm actually not being paid for this. They said I could take some cookies on the way out.
Have you tried texting Kumail in the middle of the night?
I don't need to. And now, you know, look, we started this on holidays. Overwhelmingly, Thanksgiving took things like a landslide. But I'd like to finish with another quick round of what's your favorite snack?
Tortilla chips.
Oh!
All day long. All day long. Don't even use salsa.
Sugar-free Red Bull and tobacco product.
Cookies.
Oh yeah. Kumail?
I have a chocolate drawer at home that's full of 100 different chocolates. I visit it when I'm not feeling so good about myself.
Cool!
I see the Easter connection.
It's so true. I did not make that connection.
Doritos.
Oh. Judith, what is the favorite snack for you?
Ice cream and pizza.
Oh,
Not together.
Melanie?
Yeah.
There's this almond butter from New Zealand called Fix and Fog. And it's very delicious, and you can get it in America now. It was huge for me. It's the greatest almond, and I chop up an apple and I dip it into the almond butter.
What is it?
Almond butter.
Oh, it's almond butter.
Yeah.
Vixen fog?
With a spoon? Like, yeah, just,
I put a spoonful of it on a plate. Not disgusting.
sounds
You guys, lay off!
You heard it here first.
It's that Marmite stuff. It's not like Marmite, it's just almond butter. I think I'm saying it with my almond butter.
Snack you like?
I'm a big smoothie guy. I like smoothies.
And Haley?
I'm so happy to share this with you. It's a great thing. Get your wasabi peas and have the bottle of sriracha right there. Just put one.
What's your favorite snack?
Oh, finally, they turned it back on. Wow, thank you. I actually also love apples and peanut butter. I'm kind of in the
She was talking about almond butter.
No. Well, to me, this seems like a perfect place to end.